got that good love, girl, you didn't know. I got that good love, girl, you didn't know.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
I'll always be there for you. I'll never betray you. I love you, baby.
I'm at uptown on Dykeman, the Eichten, talking that how she only dealt with businessmen. Niggas bagging joints, money off and on the books. The ones who stand firm like ain't nothing shook about them. I doubt them cats waiting for me, you know them niggas. Them big dudes across the street, she said yeah. They from over on Mayfair, bullets from out of nowhere. Sold her stayed in, ducked down. I hit the ground but managed to pull the piece out. This bitch over there with them pointing the chief out. They want beef out here, they gon' get it in the worst way. I'ma show them how black play, roll the dice. Fucking with me's like snake eyes, I break guys. Sit back and watch my cake rise. It's all about the Benjamins, true, that be the motto. Ran out of ammo and started throwing bottles, running, and I ain't looking back for shit. Crooked ass bitch, today I get you back for this.
I love you, baby.
No, you don't.
You drive me crazy.
That's right.
I'll never betray you. I love you, baby.
Come on.
I love you, baby.
No, you don't.
You drive me crazy.
Yo, since the last altercation, I've driving on the street. See honey at the club every week and I speak. I'ma rock that ass to sleep before I strike. I ain't know the real deal until last night. How one of them brothers was locked with Babe Bro. Used to call my crib from C74. Kick rhymes over the phone for hours. He had the jack. Babe Bro told him, you wanna get money, see black when you get home. We never had chance to get up and wouldn't have. If it's gonna left me hit up, he'd explain how his whole crew was slapping honey. Besides all that, she owed them cats a lot of money. Funny how it's a small world, baby girl. You's about to get fucked with no jail. I'ma sit back and watch this cake finish baking and plan your extermination. Word.
I love you, baby.
No, you don't.
You drive me crazy.
That's right.
I'll never betray thee. I love you, baby.
Come on.
I love you, baby.
No, you don't.
You drive me crazy.
That's right.
I'll never betray thee. I love you, baby.
It took a while to peep your style, Miss I being working low profile, single. House in Staten Island, I'm in Manhattan, wow. Them same cats you sent to get me, boo, is on their way to get you, fucking with you. That small time crack dealing nigga, he a bitch too. They gon' bust his shit too, shit's real. You think you gon' set me up and get away scot-free without some type of injury? Nah, kill it. I'ma flip the script on you. Same thing you did to me, I'ma do it to you. Who knew she was the female Rambo? Fill one of they chests with foam soon as he came in the door. Lights was out, smoked all they mans in. In the end, she had to be the last bitch standing. Not for long, the bar for 44 strong. Just like that, she was gone. Now it's over. Assuming I'll go back to my everyday life of a rich millionaire just rocking the mic. Gotta pause and think about honey, no doubt. And admire how that chick went out. Yeah.
I love you, baby. You drive me crazy.
What's good?
I'll never betray thee. I love you, baby.
Where we at?
I love you,
Hit
baby.
the share, hit the like.
You drive me crazy.
That's right.
I'll
Hit the
never
heart
betray
sign if you love
thee.
yourself. Let's go.
I love you, baby.
Come on.
You only
I
knew.
love you, baby. You drive me crazy. I'll never betray thee. I love you, baby. I love you, baby. You drive me crazy.
What's good with everybody? How we feeling? How we feeling? Welcome to Wyatt Live, the 5 p.m. drive home show. I appreciate everyone who's here. I almost didn't make it, folks. I'm being honest with you. I almost did not make it. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna need a little bit of energy from the people in the back of the room. I'm gonna need a little energy from the people in the back of the room. Happy belated Father's Day for those that may not have watched this morning's show when I had a whole different take on Father's Day. I got a couple of DMs like, damn, why you so sore? Why you so damn sore at your daddy? Because I didn't have one. I didn't have one. So why should I be all up on, nah, fuck that. Nah, I didn't have one. I also talked this morning about my my usage of bad words. I am going to reduce that down. My MFs, my Fs, bombs, and just that. It's not really me. I say I'm just getting too casual by saying it on this podcast like I'm at home. Or like I'm, talking to my fellas on the basketball court, or I'm gonna cut down on that because I think I owe the people that respect me, I owe them that return. I owe you guys that return in respect. I should be respecting the people. I don't know why Mama Birch ain't slapped me across my head right here on podcast, right live on now she says, no, it brings flavor. You wasn't saying that shit, Mama Birch, when we was running down by the laundromat and you heard us cursing. When you heard us cursing, you would do some different shit to us, different stuff to us. You, Miss Jordan, Miss Betty, Miss Phyllis, all of y'all hear us outside cussing and stuff. It was like, what y'all kids ain't gonna be nothing. Y'all bet your mama don't know you out here cussing. I want to do a show, believe it or not, this is gonna sound weird, and this is not a slash at my mom, of course. I want to do a show that I feel proud of my mother watching. You know, I shouldn't say my mother. I should say my granny. And let me tell you why. My mother is a very respectable woman, but my mom is 15 years older than me. So at a certain point, my mother was like a sister to me when we got older. I tell everybody all the time, and I mean this. My mother raised me, but I also raised her. We raised each other because she was so young, and it was like my mother kind of my mother was I learned a lot from my mother. I did. But she also was a young individual. You know, she had a lot going on with me being a young child. She had a lot going on. And we took care of each other. And then it didn't hurt that my mother was a fairly nice looking lady growing up. She's still a nice looking lady, but I'm just saying my mother was pretty sharp. You know, she did the Playboy Bunny thing at the Playboy Bunny house in Cincinnati. Y'all remember the Playboy Bunny Club? Who remember that? It was down, I think it was over by Union Terminal, the Playboy Bunny Club. The lady, I don't know if Hugh Hefner owned it. I'm assuming he had an interest in it because it was the Playboy Bunny Club. And my mother was a Playboy Bunny. So in order to be a Playboy Bunny, you obviously had to be Playboy Bunny material. Okay, so mom had it. And my cousin Mary, who sometime comes on here, they both were Playboy Bunnies back in the day. And that was it was a club slash restaurant slash, I was too young to even know, but based on what I was told. Now, the shit could have been something way, way different. It could have been the Hugh Hefner mansion type stuff. I don't know. But it was a public restaurant. It was a public club. So I'm sure it was for the public. But the ladies had to wear these little skimpy little outfits with the Playboy Bunny on the ass and all that old stuff. So she lived through that. My mother lived through that. She was fairly decent looking. She was a very nice looking young lady. And one time I remember, I was with my mother and I was a little boy. I mean, I was very little. And we were driving and we were hungry. Like my mom had a little car, it wasn't nothing special, that. But we lived. Let me tell y'all how I know Mr. Lincoln Ware. This is gonna sound weird, like what the fuck? Where did he go? Why, what? And let me explain to you guys Mr. Lincoln Ware, the radio guy. Now, y'all think I'm about to shoot a shot at him, but I'm not. Okay, so don't be tagging and saying Wyatt over there throwing shots at Lincoln Ware. That's not what I'm doing. I just have a story of the first time I ever seen Lincoln Ware and I knew him. And some of the older people that watch this platform will know what I'm talking about when I say this. When I was a little boy, my mother had an efficiency apartment. The first apartment we ever had in our life was over on Kemper Road. And it was over by a little nightclub called the Palm Room. Anybody remember the Palm Room? The Palm Room. Well, my mom got an apartment directly, it was on Kemper Road, but it was directly above. The Palm Room was underground. It was like the basement of an apartment complex. Now, my mother, our first apartment was in the Arms. There you go. The building was called the Arms. I didn't know that, LaDonna. I didn't know what it was called. But it was, let's say it was the Arms building. The Palm Room you had to walk downstairs to get to. Okay? My apartment, my mother's apartment, our first apartment was the apartment directly on top of the Palm Room. It was a one room. It wasn't any bigger. It couldn't have been any bigger than this studio here. We had a stove. It was an efficiency. It was a young woman's very first apartment. It was 2 rooms. It was one room that we lived in with the couch and the kitchen and everything, and then one little small bathroom that was a little small closed door. Matter of fact, I don't even remember how big the bathroom was, but it was a bathroom with a bathtub. And guess who the DJ at the Palm Room was when I was that little bitty boy? And I'm not talking about like 10 years old little. I'm talking about little, where you know how your mom move out? All y'all, most of us I've never had to do it, but the majority of people may move out with their kid and then have to move back home. So I had moved out, my mom and I moved out and then had to move back home, but that's another story. But I was that young. I had to be about 6 years old, 6, 7 years old. Boy, listen, I was the most inquisitive little bitty ass little child living right above the palm room. Lincoln Ware was the DJ in the palm room. He was the DJ, and all night, on certain nights, you would hear the boom, 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 and all the Gap band and all the got to get up, all this old shit, and all night you would hear that through the floor. And I remember meeting Mr. Ware outside a couple times when they was packing up at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, whatever time they was getting out of there. I remember looking out the window and I see all the shit. I seen all the fights. I seen all this shit. I'm telling y'all, Kemper Road was not, it was that armor, that was like a dope man's paradise to sell smack and all type of shit outside. And when I was a little boy, the first, I shouldn't say this, but I will. The first bag of weed I ever seen in my life, it was laying on. That's when we seen nickel bags and dime bags in the little yellow envelopes. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Them little bitty ass, fat ass envelopes. Well, I used to find them outside. That was my hustle. I would find the little nickel bag. You know, people be going through their pockets at nighttime trying to serve. And sometimes people drop their weed and shit on the ground. And I would go outside almost every weekend and just go through the grass. I was thirsty. My mama kill me if she heard me telling this story. But I go through the grass and shit out by the palm room, out in the back, and don't let a motherfucker get chased by the police. I know where to go. If a dude got chased that night by the police away from the palm room, I would watch where he run. And then I would just retract their service. I knew where to go get the dope. I know they was throwing shit out their pockets. I know they do it. They was doing it all the time. And that was my hustle, man. That's how I got it. No shit, no lie. That's where I met Mr. Ware for the very first time. That's how I know he's been in the music game forever. He's been a DJ forever. I was 6 years old. And he DJ'd at the Palm Room. And I remember the name, and I remember them. That, you know, they were young, and they made a lot of noise. All this old bullshit. I would hear all of it, and I just couldn't sleep at night. And then I couldn't wait. I would look when I knew the party was over. It got silent. I would look out the window, and I would look and see where everybody was and migrating, and I would see them selling weed and stuff. And that's when I would go out the next day and just circle the grass, find nickel bags. That was my thing. And my mother kind of knew I did it. She actually knew, because I would always, anything that I got, I would always bring it to her. I would always take it to her. So, no, I didn't sell weed and stuff like that at that young of an age, but I knew what it was. I had a mother that indulged in weed, and, you know, she had the Stevie Wonder. She would have the Stevie Wonder album covers and shit. Like, don't judge my mama. Y'all know what they used to do. They put the weed on the album cover and do like this and shit and let the seeds roll down. Take a card and let the seeds roll down. And then, you don't got to do that shit these days. I guess. I mean, I ain't seen nobody putting no weed on a CD cover. Getting the seeds and shit. Y'all so thirsty. These kids, they so thirsty for weed these days. They smoke all of it and everywhere. Like, all of it. They smoke the seeds, the dust, the stems. I'm like, damn. The first time I knew there was gonna be a weed problem is when I knew the game. I'm gonna say it like that. When I was a young man and I seen that when you sell an ounce and a motherfucker smoke an ounce, like, you know, there's six. Why am I doing this? There's 16 ounces in a pound. Okay. So when you get a pound, you break down 16 O's. You trying to dub up, you know, y'all know what I'm talking about. Some. But when you sell somebody an ounce and they roll 2 joints, you think you just served Bob Marley. Like, bro, you gonna smoke all that weed? You just paid $125 to smoke 2 joints? This shit is crazy. I said, oh yeah, we in trouble. We're in trouble because now let me ask you this. Who's smoking that much weed and want to go do something in life? Who's smoking 2 joints? Who making two joints out of an ounce and ever going to go do something with themselves? You're done for the day. You done. You done. I don't get it. I knew we was gonna be fried and die. And here go the thing, man. I know we got some weed smokers in the building, and that's fine. Y'all keep rolling y'all little skinny joints and be good. Y'all roll y'all little skinny ass, anorexic ass joints and be good. But I'm gonna tell you something. Making weed legal is a trap. It's a trap. Whether y'all like it or not. And I know, like I see Drop right now here. He said, no stems, no seeds that you don't need. Wyatt got that good ass weed. No, come on. I know everybody know Drop blaze up because he blaze up while he talking to me on the show. We all know that. So it ain't no secret. Drop. We hear the lighter clicking all the time. We hear it. So if you retired and smoke weed and that's what you do, God bless you. You worked your entire life. But I don't think anybody smoking 2 joints out of an ounce of weed, even some bullshit weed. I'm just saying. I don't see how you could smoke 2 joints out of an ounce and you good for anything for that day. You can't do nothing. Can't do nothing. And I used to say to myself, oh man, yeah, we going downhill. And then years later, I start seeing them putting things in bills and they're trying to make weed legal. And I'm saying to myself, I ain't said it to none of my friends. I ain't said it to none of my partners or whoever who smoke. I'm not saying this to them, but I would be like, damn, you don't see this trap coming? Don't you? You do realize that doing this shit illegally is going to keep you safer than making it legal. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. When I go to Vegas, damn it, soon as I get off the plane in Vegas, I smell weed. Weed, man. I mean, when you get off the plane and you land, I mean, as soon as you come down the runway to land, my nose go in the air. I'm like, what is that smell? Lord knows if you get comfortable, go to your hotel and walk the strip of Las Vegas, my God, I smell like I'm walking through a jungle of weed. All that old shit, a little fucking like a jungle. And cats just be walking down the street like they just lit a coos. Like they just lit a cigarette and they walking down the street, passing shit. And I'm like, whoa, I got kids. Don't you got kids? I mean, I know what they say. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas and all of that. I get it. Vegas is hell. Anybody ever seen Hell on Earth? If you say no, all you got to do is book a flight to Vegas. If you ever want to know what Hell on Earth look like, Vegas is it. Vegas is where you go to just get your life turned all the way upside down. You can go there and break yourself forever in life, max out all your credit cards, smoke as much weed as you want to smoke, destroy yourself financially, give your house up, sell all your shit to every pawn shop on the corner, and come back home and tell everybody you had a ball. That's hell. That's hell. Buy booty. You can buy a good time. Turn out to be the worst weekend of your life, and you come back bragging to all your friends of how dope and how much fire you had, how much fun and how it's fire in Vegas. No, it's not. Vegas is hell on earth. I don't know anybody that really went there and had a good time. I know people that went there and did different shit that they normally don't do. If you call that a good time, then damn it, I guess you had a great time. But Vegas, boy, I'm going to tell you something. You know, people go to Vegas as a couple and they go holding hands. They go holding hands on the plane. I love you, baby. Love you. Love you. All that. and come back and want separate sections on the airplane. Yeah, it's hell. It's hell. It's the divorce paradise. And I'm going to tell you something. Most people that live in Vegas don't like Vegas. The only people that like Vegas are the people that don't live there. Vegas is one of the poorest, it's one of the richest, poorest cities in the United States. Everybody take their money there to lose it, drop it off in Vegas, and Vegas don't even take care of Vegas. I'm just being honest. And if you've never been to Vegas, don't pay me no mind. Go on up there and ruin your freaking life. I ain't said nothing about it. Go mess up your life, damn it. But anybody that think they gonna go to Vegas past a couple days and shit, you got another thing coming. You might make it past. Now, if you just going there to watch shows, that's one thing. Yeah, I'm going up there to see Janet Jackson. I'm going to see Monique. I'm going, they have people that have residencies there, performers. Like, I love David Copperfield. David Copperfield's been there for 30 years. Like, he don't even have to hit the road. He is Mr. Las Vegas when it come down to the magic tricks and shit. David Copperfield. I like David Copperfield. He had a good act. And then there's a lot of shows. There's boxing things going on all year round, all the time. But Vegas is not what it used to be. They didn't change how they do things. They didn't change the laws. They done it all, man. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to say this, and then we'll move on to something, I guess. I'm going to tell you this right here. The best vacation, if I don't know how many actually do this, but one of the best getaways, it's not even a vacation, it's just a getaway. Go to Florida. Maybe go to Jacksonville, Florida, or go to Orlando, or go somewhere where they have the ports. Take a cruise. Take a cruise. Everything that you can do in Vegas, you can do on a cruise. It's one price, and you get everything else for free except alcohol. And what I mean by that is you'll never find a place where you can pay maybe $1,000 for one individual and eat all you want, watch as many shows, go to 3 different destinations in the islands. I think that's where you get the most for your money. And if you want to gamble, you can gamble on the ship. But if you're a weed smoker, all you got to do is take that cruise, that 3-day cruise from like Orlando to the Bahamas, and you can get all the weed you want. Y'all weed smokers, you ain't smoked no weed till you got you some of that Bahama weed. Y'all think this shit you getting in the States is powerful. Y'all got all these super good names for the shit. Blue Magic, Marble Top, Acid Head, Kick My Ass weed. Y'all got all these names. Go to the Bahamas. My man gonna kill me. I ain't gonna say no names in the Bahamas, but all you got to do is get off of the boat, go to, like, you're going to the paradise side. Just don't go over there. Don't get on the ferry. Stay in the shopping zone and go see. I ain't gonna say his name because I don't have to. All you got to do is go to the ice cream stand that's on the beach. That's not an ice cream stand. It's my friend, and he has a slushy. It's like a icy. Yeah, go see him. He'll tell you which direction to go. All right, let me get on. Before I get in trouble or I get some people in trouble. Roz said, what the hell is Wyatt? What the F is Wyatt talking about? I don't know. You ever been to the Bahamas? Maybe I don't know. He might be a weed smoker, and he's like, I don't know what I'm talking about with weed. I know enough of what people talk about. I know enough. You're right. I don't indulge in it. Maybe I'm outdated on it, but I do know if you want to save money and live better for the money that you're spending on a vacation, take a cruise. I don't care where you go a cruise on, but cruises, you're going to get more bang for your buck. A lot of people say, but Wyatt, I get seasick, I don't like this. Then it may not be for you. It may not be for you. All right. Happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm not going to do what I did this morning. I'm not going to tell you how I don't really, it's not that I don't like Father's Day. I just feel like it's a little overrated. I would never say that about Mother's Day. Okay, I would never say that. It's only Father's Day. I feel like I shouldn't get rewarded for what I'm supposed to do in life. Then I had to really think about it. Some people hit me up and was like, it's not really being rewarded. It's just being recognized. I think that's what rewarded is. I think it's the same thing. I think my kids getting me gifts and saying, hey, hey, Wyatt, I mean, Dad, thanks for feeding us. Thanks for making sure we have clothes. Thanks for making sure that we get an education. Like, I thought that was my duties as a dad. I don't think someone has to give me an award or recognition for doing what I'm supposed to do as a father. That's all. But I got my few bags of socks. I also received a blanket that was amazing. And what I didn't show you guys this morning was my kids and I, my family, we went to Kings Island. My daughter has her Apple Watch. She said that we walked 4.9 miles. I said, I didn't walk 4.9 miles. I didn't walk that far. I know I didn't walk that much. She said, Dad, it's on my watch. It's on my watch. You know, the footprint, Nike footprint thing. It's on my watch. I said, no, baby, I didn't walk no 5 miles. I know I didn't. And I argued all the way home, the drive home. I didn't walk no 5 miles. Daddy, it's on here. I said, okay. I said, okay, whatever you say. Well, when I got home, I got in the air conditioning and I sat down and I ate and we just watched a movie. We watched a couple movies last night to top off our Father's Day thing. My daughter left to go back to Ohio State today. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I woke up this morning feeling like I may have walked an entire marathon. So maybe they're right. Maybe we did. My arms were hurting. My thigh or my hip was hurting. And I was like, man, I am getting old. I'm getting super old. Let me share this picture real fast with you guys if you don't mind. This was yesterday. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me see something. This was me and my girls yesterday at Kings Island. My wife took the photo. Let me see if you can see it a little better like this, maybe. Oh, maybe not. Sorry. Do the best you can. Do the best you can at seeing that. But that was us yesterday at Kings Island, and we walked. We walked. We rode rides. I got on their nerve. The reason why I got on their nerve is because I'm a memory maker. And since they were little kids, I remember us taking certain photographs at Kings Island. And I remember us posing in front of little things when they were little bitty kids. And I relived a lot of those photographs. They may not like it now. They may bitch and complain about me taking these pictures, but I think one day when I'm blessed to go see the Lord, I go to heaven or wherever the hell he chooses to send me. I think my family, my daughters will have a good memory, good collage of our moments. And that's what's important to me. That's what's important to me. Because if my father, who my mother had me with, my real father, he's still alive. And I don't want to say anything nasty because it's not proper to really be mad at somebody or be, publicly disrespectful. But if he died tomorrow, my memories of him would be What man wants to live on this earth and his children's memories of him are a dark spot? A dark spot. And that is basically no memory, no history, nothing. And that's always been a thing to push me to be a father, a good father. And that is to make sure that I leave a bright spot in my children's life. And I've, like most guys, like most dads, us who stick around, and don't get mad if you one of them daddies that didn't stick around. I'm sure there's reasons why. I'm talking about the fathers that don't stick around and don't have anything to do with their children. You understand what I'm saying? That have nothing to do with their children. I just don't understand that. I don't understand it. And I sometimes wonder, is it easier for a man to be that way when he was left like that? I mean, I'm trying to give him an out. I'm trying to be respectful, but I just can't get there. Is it easier for a man to leave his children with a woman and he don't have any engagement with her, he don't have any engagement with his kids? Is it easier for him to do that if he grows up without a father? You know, I was listening to the tail end of Emmanuel Livingston's show. Y'all should go check that out sometimes. It comes on each day, Monday through Friday, I believe at 3:00. And he asked a few questions about, there was a situation that happened here in Cincinnati, but it was out in Claremont County. Okay. Now, he could be very, he has this imaginary thing sometimes about how things are comparable. He kind of tries to put, you know, what was that game that we used to play back in the day where you push it down and then you had to put all the damn pieces inside of the square had to go in the square, the circle had to go in the circle. Yeah, and then if you didn't make it in time, it popped up and all the shit went everywhere. That's kind of how E is sometimes. He pushes the thing down and then he has so much time to get all the right pieces in, and then when the pieces don't fit, the thing go like, what was that game? I know some of y'all remember that shit. And he brought up something that made me, I was like, huh? But he did make a valid point. Do y'all know the guy, the father, that just killed his 3 kids in cold blood, execution style? Perfection. Thank you, Fame. He said that was called trouble and there was perfection, but it was perfection. It was perfection. It was the one called perfection. Thank you. I just think sometimes he gets started and he's trying to put those pieces in any of the, holes that fit. In this particular case, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Fast Pitch. She said, oh, my girl, she in here. Stephen Speed said perfection. E said something that I didn't really get it when he said, now this father, 30-year-old man or 32-year-old man out in Claremont County murders his 3 young children, murders them in cold blood, execution style, put them on their knees in the front yard and took them out one by one. That's the coldest shit I've seen happen in I don't know how, in at least a decade or two. This is just freaking medieval. Who does that? And he brought up the fact that he said, why give him a $20 million bond? Now, see, here's where I don't like. I'm not tripping on E because he don't understand the court system. He doesn't understand how the bonding system works, nor, okay, when you don't really understand it, then you don't really know there's constitutional rights that people have. So this father who gets caught right there on the spot, and for you guys that don't know this, let me just say this. I listened to the 911 call, and then I listened to the dispatch to the police. Do y'all realize that when the dispatch signaled in to the police cruisers that were going to get this man. Do you know what the call was? The call from dispatch, which came from an officer, the calling officer, the officer that makes the call. They said, arrive and shoot him. When you get there, shoot him. I mean, that was the order. But the man was sitting there smoking a cigarette with a shotgun and his like sitting next to him. He wasn't pointing at anybody, but his children was laying on the ground, feet apart from each other, 3, 4, maybe 5 feet apart from one another, dying. I don't care what anybody says. You could say that's mental illness. Maybe it is, but it's still evil. Evil. Absolute evil to do that. What told you to do it? Nothing but the devil. What angel would tell you to do something like that? A dark angel, a deviled angel. So here's what he said, and he doesn't really understand the Constitution and the bond setting process in the first place. You know, and that's not a knock on him. It's just, I'm going to answer the question because he said, well, this sounds like something that maybe Wyatt can answer. And I want to kind of answer it for the people that were watching and then for the crowd here. The man has the constitutional right for a bond. And you can't use bonds. This is one of the things that a lot of people who have argued the bonds process and argued how it works. The courts can't use bonds as a tool and a form of punishment. And E was like, why did this guy get a $20 million, $22 million bond? That don't make sense. The court should have just said no bond. Well, yeah, they probably could have said no bond, but you can only hold somebody on a no bond for so many hours. I think it's 72 hours. You understand what I'm saying? That's the law. So a judge has to set a bond accordingly to what he feels or he or she feels is appropriate due to the charges. So if you set a bond at $1 million, you know, it's a chance that this man, if you say no bond and in 72 hours, he has no holders or anything, I mean, he ain't going nowhere. But because you got to put some type of holder on him, like a medical evaluation holder. You got to do something. But the safe thing to do is to set a bond that he possibly cannot make. Because if you put a no bond on there, now your argument from his defense team is now we got to argue a bond. And you don't want a judge to come in and step on another judge's bond. They don't do that. It's very unlikely that that's going to happen. This bond was appropriate. $22 million is appropriate for murdering 3 children cold blood in broad daylight. Matter of fact, what the bond is totally irrelevant. I mean, it shouldn't even be part of the conversation. It shouldn't even be something that we should be having like a discussion and debating, because the man did it. He did it. Okay, it's no doubt. Plus, you're talking, it's an overall bond, which means each murder is a separate charge. So if you separate the bonds, plus, you know, there's other charges, all this equals up to $22 million. It's not just one bond, it's $22 million on what he did. They separate each case and it equals that. All right. So you got to kind of look at it for in the proper content to really judge it and make it make sense. And you got to know you got to know constitutional law to understand that this man is entitled to a bond by law, state law of Ohio. Here's the other thing. If you make the bond too low, you never know. You never know what group will do a bond, will raise money for him. Now, I heard I think it was I heard somebody say something like, man, they didn't already raised almost $1 million for this man bond. See, that's what I'm talking about. If you would have made this bond $5 million, there's a possibility that this man could get out. Some would say, well, he deserves to be out. I argue that. If you're gonna hold him, you better hold him constitutionally. Okay, you give him something that's he can't reach it. He deserves to sit in jail while this is going. Do you want him out here? Now he becomes a public. He's a public. I don't know. I mean, he's a nuisance to the public. I mean, he could be damaging. Somebody could kill him and catch a case. Another family member could catch him and catch a case. From what I heard, the girl that got away, the older girl, was his stepdaughter. So I don't know how many of these other children may have been his stepkids. I don't know. But the $22 million is appropriate. And then E says something, and I got to correct him here. Let me take this sip. My man was playing the perfection board for a minute there. You know, I love E, but I want to make it make sense to you. When comparing things like that bond, comparing it to the COVID-19 guy, I know we all remember the guy who was yelling in the phone, F the coronavirus and fuck, F that, and we can do what we want to do. We can party. He went on live, and he ended up with a $250,000. I think it was a $300,000 bond. E said it was $250,000, and I'm pretty sure it was $300,000 or $350,000. How I know this to be true is because I'm familiar with this individual. Okay, I know him. Not like we grew up. He's a client. He's been a client. And I know the reason why the bond was so high. Okay, and I mean, I know. I can't there's a client privilege situation going on. I can't tell you why, but I can tell you that there was other things going on other than the COVID-19 thing. And if you don't know that, then you don't have a clear understanding of why things are the way they are. Y'all know I'm one of them type of individuals where I really don't like having conversations on misinformation, or if we got to be saying shit like, well, what if? And what if this? And what if that? I'm not a what if, mom. I'm not that what if dude. I need proper content to make it make sense. If I don't have the right information, how can I come to the conclusion of what's right and what's wrong? Makes no sense to me. I don't live my life like that. I'm not on this podcast trying to play like, well, what if it was this and what if it was that? I don't play devil's advocate on this shit. I'm not going to sit here and, try to make it make sense if we're not talking about apples and apples. If we're comparing apples and oranges, you can't. It was Tracy Dillingham. What's up, sis? She said the bond was high because he said F the governor. Well, I tell you what, this is what I'm going to do. Not that it really matters to everybody, because some people just going to go with what it means, whatever they want to go with. If you go back and look on YouTube, Clyde Bennett was his representation at the bond hearing. If you go back and listen, pre-argument of the bond setting, just listen to what was going on with this young man before you judge the bond or the condition of the bond or the setting of the bond. Listen to the pre-trial information. That might help you. Just listen to that. I'm not suggesting that the bond could have been, that it wasn't high. I'm not suggesting that maybe it was excessive. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm saying that sometimes bonds are not set just because of what that individual does right then and there. Okay, sometimes immediate other situations play into if you're going to do the right thing. If I give you a bond that you can make, do I feel as a judge that you're going to show up for court and do what you need to do? And your history is showing me something different. So if that's the case, I have to, as a judge, make a bond appropriate, not just to what the case is calling for, but from your past court appearances and the things that you may have pending. That all plays a part. It all plays a part. And a lot of people just tend to have these lenses on that keep them looking straight forward, and we don't really we're not playing the perfection game the right way. We're not putting all the right pieces in place. We just think what we think. And then it takes somebody to come on, or it takes somebody to say something publicly, and it goes in that direction. All right. It go in the direction of misinformation, and then it starts misleading the public. And then when the public is misled, we're jumping to conclusions of what's right, what's wrong, what's fair, and what's not fair. Okay. So I'm a guy that likes detail and proper content. I didn't give any, what was that girl's name in Louisville? Breonna Taylor. People were mad at me because I didn't speak on Breonna Taylor. I didn't have enough information. I didn't have enough information of what happened. I never not once seen the police report. It was not public record. They had it suppressed. So I didn't speak on it. There was another one. Oh, no. What was that? Oh, AP, what's good, bro? I didn't even see you here. Hold on. AP says a lot of these cats keep testing the water. Finally, some eventually, some judge will be like, you just ain't getting it. You just ain't getting it. Like, you're not getting out. I get it. I see what you're saying, AP. My screen is running real fast. But yeah, I mean, and then here's the other thing. I don't think anybody's happy about what happened to the kids out in Claremont County. I can't see how you can make that, how we could look at that as a white situation, and then we got our city thing going on. That was a domestic dispute. That was a domestic dispute. That's not what they're doing in the streets of Claremont County. If I'm wrong, bring the news articles to me. Bring the police reports where we're seeing the same stuff out in Claremont County that we're seeing in our community streets. Bro, I'm just saying, we got to stop acting like there's no problem. We got to stop. See, we can't have people blocking for people that's just doing us wrong out here. We can't have that. We can't, that's not doing anybody any good. Because if you have a mother, Black Fox, any of these, she don't mind if I say something, because she lost her son out here, like what we think ain't going on. And I think E said something that was brilliant today, but it ain't gonna never happen, E. He said, why don't we have a spokesperson for the city of Cincinnati, like they have the press conference secretary, the person that sits up there and tells us about the day before crime? That's called the news, E. That's what they got. Channel 5, Channel 9, Channel 19, Channel 64, all these news channels. That's what they're supposed to be. But I'm going to tell you, the reason why they don't have a press secretary for city of Cincinnati is because they don't want you to know the real crimes that's going on a daily basis. They don't want the public to know that. Nobody would go outside. Nobody would go down on the banks. Nobody would go in OTR and sit at the Phoenix and eat outside. If you told everybody how many carjackings were going on, if you told everybody what was going on in your city, I told you they only give you 10% of the crime each day. If they told you everything from breaking and entering to robberies, didn't the little girl from Eli's Barbecue, when she was talking about gun violence in Cincinnati, what did she say? She said, we've had people come in our store in the middle of the night stabbed. Somebody robbed them outside. They come in our store down on Friendly Market at nighttime, and they would be stabbed. You don't read about that shit in the newspaper. You don't hear about that on the news. The news media know about it. Why don't it get out there? They don't want to frighten you. And I'm not talking about the news media. It's all about economics of your city. They don't want you to know everybody that's getting towed up. It's only certain things that really, really, okay, the shooting of 9 people over the Rhine on Main Street. How could you not report that? Not when everybody got a cell phone in the air shooting it. Everybody had their phone up, shooting it, looking at it. Oh, duck, I can't miss this shot, nigga. The news is slow to the beat. Not one time have I heard they have a break-in problem in Over the Rhine. I just don't hear. I don't hear about the carjacking problem. I don't hear about the break-ins. You really want to the news would be 9 hours long every day. They'd take a 2-hour break and be right back at it. They couldn't tell you all the crime in an hour. They couldn't tell you all the crime in 2 or 3 hours. They couldn't tell you. And I'm going to be honest with you. You really don't want to know it. At one point, I haven't broke this down in a while. At one point, we were averaging 75 felonies on the court docket at one point in Cincinnati. That means that's usually people who have gotten in trouble the night before. 75 average. I don't know what it is now because I haven't broke it down. I haven't really done it. Haven't had to. Never really wanted to make a point. But do you really want to know all the crime that's going on? You think that's going to balance out? They don't talk about white people crime. Do you know how many white people go in Home Depot and steal shit all day, every day? All day, every day. And we go in there and do the same thing. This is what really I almost shut down Wyatt Live for this reason right here. I almost shut it down because I'm a firm believer that I am burned out of this black people shit, white people shit. I am so burned out of this divide that everything that happens in this world is racially motivated, or they don't do this to white people. They don't do that. And then when we find out they done did the boy with a $22 million bond, then we got to laterally move and keep moving the goalpost to something else that's different for them and different for us. I am burned out. Meanwhile, you got babies sitting in major universities right now that look just like us. That when they graduate, they ain't worried about the police. When they graduate, they ain't worried about all these people talking about the white man, the white man. They not worried about that. And I just can't wait for those kids to enter our world and take it over. Those kids ain't paying Perm in a suit no bit. They ain't paying him no mind. Al Sharpton did the eulogy of that boy who got choked on the train, and it wasn't nothing but old black folks trying to take pictures with him. Why? And then we're going to try to compare what this white dude did to his kids and say, hey, look, they kill each other too. We already know the penitentiary is full of white people. It's more population. The population is higher of white people in the penitentiary than it is black people. We already know that. But why does everything, and this is, I know I'm going to lose everybody. Hey, it is what it is, okay? Maybe it'll just do me well in my life not to have to continuously talk about white people, black people shit. And everything has to be converted over to white versus black, and they don't do the white people like they do the black. I'm so sick of this shit, and here go the thing. Our leadership continues to do it. Our leadership can. Here's the thing. City of Cincinnati just apologized. Now what? Now what? Apologize for something that happened in the 50s. Okay, we know it was dirty. We know it was messy. But here's the thing, whether we want to hear it or not, it was a business move for the city. We were in the business way. Am I happy about that? No. This was not a move on us to make us to say, hey, them black folks down there doing too well. They doing too good. They doing too good. Let's build a bridge in they shit. Have anybody done the studies yet? I've been studying. I've been looking at the studies. Even if all 700 businesses that they said, they didn't say black-owned businesses. They said 700 businesses was displaced. But let's just say it was all black business. From 1 to 699, 700 of them were all black-owned businesses. But you had 25,000 people down there. 97% of them were black. And then I heard things like we were doing well. We was doing good. We was rich. We were well off. Explain to me how at the lowest point of making money and black people being at the lowest on that totem pole, how were we well off? How were we well off? Even if you had 700 businesses, that's less than 3% of your population that could possibly be well off. What happens to the other 97% of the people who were living below poverty level? How were they well off? How does that math even make sense to you? My mother-in-law, I had a conversation with her on Friday. She's from Alabama. I asked her, when did you get to Cincinnati? She said, I got here in the 50s. I said, okay, this is going to be a great conversation. See, I didn't want anybody that I grew up around, my grandmother, like I have an aunt, my Aunt Stale. She is my grandmother's, Stephanie Hyde knows my family breakdown. She's my family. She's related to me by blood. I have a great grandmother who had 3 daughters. My Aunt Rose, my Aunt Rose was the oldest. My grandmother was the middle child, and my Aunt Stale. My Aunt Stale is 90 years old. Just turned 90 years old a few months ago. She's old enough because she went to Sands and they grew up downtown. They're part of what this is, what we're talking about here. And they, I haven't had time to explain or talk to her yet. She's 90. But I can tell you one thing, my great grandmother and them grew up in that era of what we're talking about, and they were not well off. My great grandmother worked at a factory. She was on a sewing machine working for pennies on the hour. She was not well off. So when I hear people go to the radio and say things like they didn't displace all of us, we was down there doing fine. We was doing it. No, we was still caught up slaves to the rhythm. We was still doing the same shit they doing to this day. Who is falling for this? You did not have a Black Wall Street, Cincinnati. That's bullshit. My mother-in-law moved here mid-50s. She said in the 50s. I said, when is that? She said like 54, 55. I said, well, where did you move? Did you move down by Union Terminal? Were you downtown? She said, well, yeah, kind of, sort of. But I moved with a friend of mine first for a couple months, and then I got my own place in Avondale. This is when they just start migrating people to Avondale, creating these other neighborhoods. And I was like, oh, okay, so you moved there. Then she moved from Avondale back downtown, like on Sycamore or something like that. There was a couple other places, one over by Taft, by the funeral home, on the corner of Lynn and Ezra Charles. She lived in one of them buildings that's not there anymore. She lived over there. I'm still trying to find the real rich people. I asked her specifically, when you used to go downtown and you go to the stores where they're all black owned, she said, no, they wasn't all black owned. There was some Jewish owned stores. There was a lot of black owned stores. Yes, we had our little shops and stuff that we would go to, and they would give us credit and all that. You know what I'm saying? It was a community. It was definitely a solid community. But don't say economically we was smashing it, because we weren't. How are you going to be I ain't never seen a store succeed in a poor neighborhood. Now, y'all might think because them Asian stores and them Arab stores came into the community and they made money off of us, you might say that they did it. Like, Wyatt, you ain't been to such and such. You ain't seen the Arabs that didn't moved in. Or, of course, it's limited competition now. It's been limited competition since the 80s for stores that enter your neighborhood. So yeah, if there's less competition, they have an opportunity to make more money because people are going to come in and patronize their business. If they had 10 shops just like theirs right next door, who's going to make the money? You have a choice. You got to start dropping your prices or be related to somebody for people to come in your business. I just need to see this wealth that they took from us, because I want you to know something. Whether you know it or not, this is information that is definitely listed. Home ownership was at a bare minimum back then of black folks. And there was so many racist reasons why. So many racist reasons within the system of why we couldn't get loans. Or there was a system in place called redlining, where banks would not finance you in certain areas. You can go out and buy it. You can go out and buy it. But who had $12,000 for a 3-bedroom home in the 50s? You had to go to the bank and get the money. Most people did. But y'all might not know this. There were some black guys. There was a couple brothers that had businesses that got their coins up by selling and being in the community, and they got their money up and they saved their money. Some of them went out and bought really big homes in places like Avondale. They bought big homes in Matt Adams. Matt Adams is what it is today. It wasn't like that in the 50s. When everybody seen what was about to happen, everybody just start trying to figure out where they were going to go and what they were going to do. They seen the transformation come into the downtown area. Keep in mind, let me ask you something. Would you buy a house next to a train station? Probably not. And black folks, we're much smarter than people like to give us credit for. I don't think that you even buy property in an industrial area. So here's the thing. The city bought up all the properties. That's how they moved everybody out. But they did it no different than what they did to the FC Cincinnati Stadium. They didn't buy all those properties from black people to build that FC Stadium. They bought it from the building owners. So my biggest question would be, because there is stats, there's reports showing that the majority of people that live down in that area were renters. Metropolitan housing played a part. I don't know if it was called metropolitan housing, but it was government funding housing, played a part in poor people's life back then, and did the same thing they do now, and that is do subsidize renting and housing. All I want, because I've been putting all the pieces together, I've been playing the game of perfection, putting all the pieces together in it. I just want the truth to be told, and I don't want false information to lead us in what we really want and what we really need. I need real content. I need real information. I don't want to just be said. I don't want it to come to my people that 700 of our businesses. I need you to say 700. Be specific. 700 black businesses got displaced. 700 black businesses where the people, where we had some economic growth was moved out. I need you to say it that way. And don't leave the trauma to people's imagination because, we can think the worst. And it is bad. It is bad. But we should use that lesson right there. We should use that moment right there to say never again. Never again. Never again. And you can't stop the government from doing it again. But what you can stop is the same process. In other words, what's his name? Mr. Marvin down at the Ollie's Trot. If the city want his property, they can get it, but guess what? They're going to pay him handsomely. If FC Cincinnati wants his property, they're going to pay him handsomely. Like they did everybody else in that project, from the church to the building owners. What about the 90-year-old lady that was living over there where they built the stadium? Everybody fought for her. Everybody was like, oh, you can't displace her. Well, she don't own the building. She's been in metropolitan housing. And they offered her all these different units. She's 90 years old. And no, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but because she don't want to move ain't a good enough reason for her not leaving. It's just not a good enough reason. If if you owned a strip down there and FCC was willing to give you time and a half for it, 1.5 for it, you could have got it. You could have got it. It was the same way back in the 50s. If we would have owned those properties, and some of them did, but the majority of people who lived in them properties did not own those properties. I needed to be told. I need this story to be told the right way. I don't need no feel-good ass moments to depress us and make us feel a certain way. We all know what we went through. We all know what our ancestors went through. But do we go through that now? Collide it now. Collide it now. What's redlining now? What bank is telling us, or what FHA backed loan? Who's telling us we can't do something now? It was a horrible time. Everybody's been through horrible times. Everybody has been through horrible times. You got people in California right now. You got people, this is just so crazy to me. And you got people in California out in San Francisco being lied to by a governor so he can get brownie points using black people again. They didn't put this team together asking and saying reparations. When this man knows that he can't give out reparations, it's going to kill the economy of California. It's going to take them over budget. They don't have the money for it, but he's virtual signaling. He's letting everybody get bullhorns and make signs and go into courts and holler about reparations when he know we wouldn't even know how to spread it out. We wouldn't even know how to give it away if we even had the money to do it. And we already know the Supreme Court is going to knock it down because the state itself, there's going to be representatives of the state that won't allow it to happen. And then this man is going to turn around and look at y'all and say, I gave it the best fight I could. They just wouldn't let it happen. Them mean, ugly Republicans, them people that don't want y'all to have nothing. You know, what's crazy about that is this. California was not even a slave state. You got a state making more noise than Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana. You got Texas. You got a state making more noise about reparations. And you know why, don't you, black folks? I know y'all don't want to hear this, but it's because it's almost time to vote. Every 4 years, they find a reason for us to come up, be angry, and make an emotional vote. to make an emotional vote. They get us in a space every 4 years to get ready to go in the polls and say, I ain't never gonna be done like that again. This ain't gonna happen never ever again. This and blah blah blah. And they got these virtual signal promises that'll never happen. No way is this ever going to happen. Number one, how do you piece the money out? What if I get some and you don't? What if you get some and I don't? How we gonna work out? How is this shit ever fair? What they gonna do? Hold a freaking paper bag up like they used to do back in the day? If you were darker than this paper bag, now you get money. If you're lighter than the paper bag, you don't get no money. How they gonna trace back people? You got people living in California that were never part of California. Their ancestors was never part of California. How would you even think to do something like that of all states in California versus a state that really housed slavery? I'll start with Mississippi. California was barely America. And we got people out there wearing all the little piece of, brother soul, brother ass shirts and the afros and all that old shit. Well, guess what? They wearing them same shirts in the courthouses and at the Capitol building in Chicago right now. The same ones wearing them shirts when they voted in this black mayor and led them to believe that he was there for them. And now he giving $51 million, and that shit is almost over with. $51 million to immigrants. And he ain't even taking care of his own folks. He ain't even taking care of his own folks because he don't owe them shit. He owe the people that got him there, who put the money up for him to be there. I'm trying to tell you that shit needs to stop, folks. Every 4 years, you're going to get this. Every 4 years, you're going to get this emotional ride. And when it's time to vote, let me ask you something. We got our leaderships like Diddy and these guys that like to put the t-shirts out there for us so they can, they can stay relevant. Vote or die. Where these mugs at now? Didn't they say they was gonna create their own party? Don't voting mean a whole lot? Why do they lose energy right after the election and don't wake up again until they attach themselves to shit like reparations and all this? Where is Diddy and all them guys at now? Oh, you'll see them in the next few months because now they got to get the vote or die t-shirts back out of the closet. We're going to come out with a new color this year. And then they want to be relevant to the black community. Meanwhile, they don't care how they get your money. They pushing alcohol, liquor, sex, all this shit into our communities. And then they want to get all this devil shit in there. And then they want you to be an angel. That's how they pimping us. That's how they make their money. I sound like a hater, don't I? It's the truth. It's the truth. Whether we want to see it or not. Our leaderships then sold us out a long time ago. Y'all just don't get it. The new hustle is the old hustle. And now we just sit back and think because somebody then said something on CNN and we put a black face associated with it, then now we got the combination to the lock what's been holding us back all these years. 3 decades, 4 decades, 5 decades of the same reasoning. I don't get it. And this is why I'm burned out of this shit. I'm burned out talking about white and black people. I'm burned out talking about this when in fact I truly know the key to success, and that is education through our children. It's education. It's ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. That's what it is, damn it. How many college kids do you see running around each other, shooting each other through cars? And we're going to compare what this white man did to his 3 children, and we're going to make that make sense to all the shit that's going on in the community now It's not even the same thing. It's not even, that's a domestic dispute. He did the most evil shit. But women get done like that in America every day. Y'all don't keep tabs of that. This happens to be 3 children. It's horrific. It's terrible. It's horrible. But do y'all know shit like that happen to women every day? Every 8 seconds, a woman is domestically beat up. She's in a domestic dispute every 8 seconds in America. You sure y'all want to have a press secretary talk about your crime and compare them all day? You sure you want to do that? None of us would come outside. If you really knew what was going on, if you listened to police radios all day, the media, number one villain in making us feel the way we feel. Al Sharpton is part of that bullshit. Has anybody heard anything from Al Sharpton in regards to this brother right here? There you go. Jordan Williams. Has anybody heard anything about this? Let me ask you something. This young man right here stabbed someone in self-defense on a train. So now my question to Al Sharpton is, are you going to do the eulogy of the guy who this young man stabbed? Because I go on the record and tell you this young man should not have a case pending. The same way I said it about the white dude. This man, why is it that this man, and I know I've said it before, I'm just making my point of how the media move us, play with us emotionally. How is it that everybody has heard, you ain't heard nothing about this guy yet? Not like you heard about the white dude. Or not like you heard about the white lady that shot the black lady. These are emotional trumps. These are emotional trump cards that they play. It's getting time to vote. We're getting close to voting. We're getting time to the election time. E-Man says something, I think I kind of took it personal. Not that I'm mad. I kind of took it personal. Not in a bad way. But I felt like he meant me maybe. I don't know. Maybe he might be talking about the radio host. I don't know. But he said something about we always attacking black single mothers. I don't think he understands when I speak of black single mothers with children, my frustration is not with the woman. It's not. My frustration is with the man who's not holding his responsibilities down. When you hear me say this, and I say this a lot, and I say black women, I say women. And if you want to make it a black woman, that's fine. But I say women can't raise sons. They can't raise sons by themselves. They make it happen. They do the best they can. But ladies, you're not teaching your son how to tie a tie. You teach him how to tie his shoes, but you're not teaching him how to tie a tie. You're not teaching him, he's not gonna reciprocate some of the things that you say how women want to be respected when he don't see a man respecting you the way that you say a woman should be respected. I don't care what you say. I don't care how good you think you are at it. But a man is never, a kid is, they learn by visual more than they listen and learn. How you going to teach a kid, how you going to teach a little boy how to be a man and you don't have a man in your life treating you the way that men's supposed to be treating women? I said what I said. That was my biggest problem. How my mama going to try to teach me how to be a freaking man? I never said it that way. But the truth of the matter is my mother can't teach me how to raise, how to treat a woman. You ain't got no man treating you like you telling me I'm supposed to be treating a woman. What the fuck you talking about? Men just think like that. Sorry. And we start out thinking that way as little boys. You know, don't do what I do, do as I say. Well, that shit only goes so far in a child's mind. So my disrespect was never toward the woman for her trying to raise the kid. Some people understand that. Some people they had that selective hearing, and it's not it's some people just took what I said the wrong way, because the truth of the matter is when I see these women out here, 70% of the women in our community raising children on their own, to me, quite frankly, that's a problem. Nobody else sees that as a problem. That's a problem. And I can't say that every woman just ran the man off. I can't say that. And then I can't say that, okay, maybe she did run her man off. Maybe she did run a man off. Maybe she don't. Where do we start? Implementing more men in these women's lives so they don't feel like they got to have 2 or 3, 4 baby daddies. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm saying, when are men going to step up and have a child with a woman that they can stick around with, even if y'all don't get along every day? Can't you get along for your responsibility? Can't you do that? Don't you think that plays a big part on how we going to succeed overall? I am not going to sit back here and talk about white people, black people all day, every day, when it don't even correlate. Everything that happens don't happen because a white person was involved or a black person was involved. It don't happen that way. And for all y'all that don't really get it, I'm telling you, in 2023, in the world we live in today and that we've been living in since the civil rights movement, we have, and I know this is where I get called a coon by people. This is the portion of the show, or this is the portion of the world that calls me the coon. Because we have classism in the United States of America right now. Classism, which means the more money you have, no matter what color you are, the more privilege you have. Oh, I see. And I'm not talking about my children and my children only. I see some people, I spoke about this morning. I see a young lady that I grew up with who got in trouble a lot. Boosting, stealing. Her daughter just graduated from the University of Miami in Oxford, Ohio, and with a biology, I think it was biomedical degree. She's a doctor. That little girl will never have to live the way her mama grew up. She'll never have to live the way we grew up on 1335 John Street or down the way. That little girl has surpassed. She's the second generation out of the hood. Her mom was the first. She's the second, and it didn't go backwards. It's progressed forward. These are blueprints that we don't pay attention to. For some odd reason, we focus on the shit that happens to us versus the things that we do. And that's why when that lady named Sunny on The View said what she said, I don't know why. Maybe I'm not, because nobody can really talk to me and I can't hear anybody's response right off the top. But I don't know why y'all didn't think that was the most disrespectful thing that a person could say to a black person, is to tell them they're an exception to a rule. So you basically saying, even in 2023, even in 2020, now we're an exception. If you're successful in America, if you're successful, you're an exception. So you tell my friend whose daughter just graduated from Miami University with a doctor's degree in biomedical, you tell her that she's an exception. I'm fried, y'all. I'm done. I sacrifice a lot of my time, a lot of my effort to come on here and give a show. And I am not a freaking, Wyatt Live was never meant to be a This was never supposed to be some circus freaking act. I give my all when I do this show. I give you my time, my effort. I give you me. And I just don't want to be one of them programs that people just joke and play and be like, I don't have the energy, nor do I have the patience for that. I don't even go to the office sometime because I commit myself to do this. I come home early from the office sometime because I know I got to be here for the 5 o'clock show. And I got to argue with a motherfucker. I just can't do that no more. I can't do that. And it's not because you disagree with my point of view. It's just some of these point of views be so freaking stupid. I just think you just literally just trolling. You just want to argue. I ain't got time for that shit. I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. If you ever want to know how much a person love you, people love you, if you really want to know if they really rock with you, if you ever want to know if somebody is loyal by the way that they talk to you, if you ever want to know if people care about what you doing, my advice to you is this: just do something. Just do anything. Just do something. If you really want to know how much people care, do something. In other words, don't sit back and say, oh, I can do a podcast. Do it. Or I could, you know what? I could go to school to get my beauty license, and then I'm going to open up a big ass shop. And I'm going to have the first floor going to be this, second floor going to be this, and the third floor going to overlook the city. And that's how I'm going to do everybody's hair, cut their hair and all that other shit, overlooking the city. Do it. Just do it. And watch the reaction you get. Watch. You'll be surprised how many people really fuck with you when you get out there and do your dream, do what you want to do. You'll be surprised how many people who say they rock with you, say they all be there. You'll see how much support you'll truly get. Just do it. Don't be afraid, because in that venture, not only will you be able to cut off a lot of people, in that venture, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn not just who to cut off, but you will come across new people. You'll find new people. You'll have people that have appreciations for your efforts. You'll have people that appreciate you for who you are. You'll have people that have common likenesses. You'll have people that really want to see the same things you want to see. There's a lot of people in your life right now that's been listening to you for years. Been listening to you for years about what you're going to do, where you're going to do it at, and how you're going to have this and this and this and that. And they love you to death, and they can't wait for you to just go do it. It's been 20 years now. I got dudes that I've known from 88. Remember 88 was LL Cool J and all them dudes, and here come the R&B rappers, and I still got dudes that I know from 88 that was in singing groups, and they then broke up and went solo. And this motherfucker still telling me 30, 40 years later, my album will be out next week. I sung all the backgrounds. I sung the lead. I had him do the keyboards. My album will be out next week. You know, you've been saying that for it's been 30 years now. Just do it, bro. Just do it. What I'm saying to people, because I think, who is that? Black Not Democrat says, does this mean no morning test show tomorrow? What it means is I'm getting a little burned out. I'm trying to have conversations. I'm trying to have different conversations. I don't like it when people leave the show and we have there's anger that follows it. And I know if I'm a little teed off, or, if I caught a little whim of some attitude, or if I'm like push back a little bit, then I know there's other people that are the same way. I mean, let's think about it. You got two talk show hosts. You got a Oprah Winfrey in her prime, when Oprah Winfrey show was at prime. And then you had Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer when he was in his prime, when his show was in the prime. Let me ask you a quick question. If you really wanted to take someone serious and look at that person and say, I rock with that person, and they bring content that's important to me in my life, who would you choose to watch? Oprah Winfrey or Jerry Springer? I don't want to be a Jerry Springer show. A Jerry Springer show is not worth my time. I don't have the energy. I don't want to entertain buffoonery. I don't want to be the ringleader of a circus. I just don't want to do it. And when I tried to do it the other way, when I wore my clothes, when I wore my suits and stuff coming in from the office, I couldn't get any traction. Because number one, I was talking about things that a lot of people just didn't really want to talk about. And that was, okay, let's talk about how to get to the money. They love talking about money. They love talking about how to get there. But then when you incorporate the work and the sacrifice you have to make, oh my God, then I'm an uppity ass Negro. I'm an uppity ass Negro on the radio or on the podcast talking down to people. Wow. I've heard people say that. I've heard other audiences not rock with me because they've added a political spin, defining me, defining what we do here. In other words, if I don't think like they think, if I don't rock with their same mindsets, they don't really want to be bothered. I get it. I ain't never tried to fit in somewhere I don't fit in. But why I got to be all these names and shit? Why do I have to be, I don't get it. And what black folks don't understand, I'm conservative. I'm not a Republican, I'm not Democrat, but I'm a conservative man, which means I have values. I have values that go towards God, my family, and children. I'm conservative. I don't go party. I don't do a lot of things that take me out of the conservative realm. Where a lot of people are confused is you think a conservative has to be a Republican and has to be a black man who looks down on his own people, and you don't understand. I used to get into this conversation with Glenn from Mason all the time. He was a Democrat. I'm an independent. I'm a conservative, but he was just as much conservative as I was. He loved his family, his children. He worked every day. He did everything. But because you're a Democrat, and you're who you are, that automatically makes me the conservative Republican. Black folks, we need to get away from that. We're being used by categorizing ourselves as Democrat and Republican. I don't know why a lot of people don't get this. Because when people tell you a Democrat, they feel you believe all democratic ways. And I know black folks, we don't. I know we don't. Black folks, we don't feel all Republican ways. I know we don't. You will keep your mouth shut to nonsense when it comes to that Democratic Party. You're being used. How do you feel about kids taking hormonal drugs to change their sex, to stop their progression of whatever sex they are with no study? You know, you support that when you put yourself under a category of Democrat. That's not a conservative thing. That is, and we are so conservative. Show me a black person on this platform right now that don't believe in God, don't believe in family love, unity, don't believe in going out and getting your own living and building your own home. Show me one. That's a conservative way of living. Self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency. Not depending on the government to do certain things for you so now they can control you. Joe Biden did the craziest shit. You do understand this your party. This your party right here. Who think this is okay right here? Who think this is okay right here? Who okay with this? Who okay with this? Raise your hand, loud and proud. I can't make this shit up. Who okay with this? You do know you keeping your mouth shut. You do know when you accept your parties and their bills and what they represent, you do know that's what was on the White House line. You do know that your president is captured in this LGBTQ movement. And I hate putting all those other letters on there. It's not fair to the lesbians and the gays. It is not fair that they have been infiltrated. It is not fair. But they got tricked. They're just wide open. They're emotional as well. They tricked just like black folks got tricked. Biden told us when he was the vice president with Obama, he said, marriage is between a man and a woman. What is this country coming to? Me and Barack voted for this. Now all of a sudden you supporting children with sex changes? And see, here's why a lot of people who call themselves Democrats don't like me, because they think, well, you're attacking us. No, what I'm attacking is the fact that you're not saying anything and you are part of this. You're voting for these to be bills. You're voting for the people that push this agenda. You're voting for it. When your party is leading and they're in charge of things, they can make these things turn into bills and they give the rights. You really think it's fair for a little boy to change himself to a girl and then play in girl sports? You really think that's fair? You don't know. You don't think it's fair. You're just doing what you do, sitting on the sideline. You ain't saying nothing. These are the same people that holler racism, racist cops, and you a racist cop. If your partner is racist and you sit back, you don't have to be racist, but you just as racist as he is if you don't say nothing about what he doing out here. You just as racist. What does that make you? Why ain't nobody said nothing about this shit here? Why is this not a big deal on CNN? CNN didn't have no problem showing you. They didn't have no problem showing you the picture of the flag being out there and to promote how this is the biggest gay day, the largest in history. And I can guarantee you, there are homosexuals, there are gay and lesbian, there are gay men, lesbian women out on that line that don't represent bullshit like this. That is not them. That is not the gay community. That's a different community right there. Now, black folks, how would we feel if we had that same thing? How would we feel? And y'all know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? Our leadership has attached themselves to the LGBTQ plus community. Our so-called NAACP in Florida now has attached themselves to that community who represents that. And y'all want to say that this man is a racist and all this old shit because it's an emotional move. But do you know, we don't want to see shit like this at Disney. I'm sorry if you just don't get it. But I don't want that to be the castle. And my children show up at the castle at Disneyland. You know what this person said? Well, if y'all didn't know, Washington, D.C. is a state that allows toplessness. I'm not breaking the law. You know, he said that, right? This person said that. That's the type of sense that you want, where now bills will be passed if they have their way. And Joe Biden said, I love all my kids. I love all of y'all. He told them, I love all of y'all. Y'all seen the speech? I love all of y'all. Y'all my kids. Y'all all our kids. We love you all. Remember that? Remember that? Remember that? And then here go my thing right here, black folks. I'm sorry I got to do it to you, but I need you to listen to this.
Stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did in my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. Once in every several generations enters at a point in our history where it actually has a chance to change the trajectory of the country. You face that inflection point today, and I know you'll meet the moment. I just think about the many ways you already have. My sincere hope is that each of you find the sweet spot between happiness, success, and ambition. A good life, a life of purpose. Because here's the thing, you don't know where or what fate will bring you or when. You just have to keep going.
That's Joe Biden giving his commemorative speech at Howard. He told a room full of black kids that worked their ass off in the United States of America, worked their ass off to get degrees. You had some with bachelor degrees, some with doctorate degrees, all higher education. He sat there and told these people that white supremacy is their worst, is like the highest thing, it's the worst thing in America right now. That is what they have. Hey, Joe, can you please not put this shit in our children's mind? They're trying to go off and be great. They don't need some old ass white man telling them some shit that you represented your entire career. The shit that you have represented. Joe, why don't you tell them the crime bills that you've signed off on, locking a lot of black folks up? Instead of programs that could rebuild the black community, tell the truth about what you did to the black community. The crime bills, all of them that got your name on it, Joe, that you bragged about. Black folks, stop. Stop. You need this. 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 Because you can't sit back and say that the white police officer sitting in the car with the prejudice on the white racist cop. You can't sit there and say that the cop that don't say nothing about the racist cop is just as racist, If you allowing this type of shit to go down and you not say nothing, then you are exactly what he is. You're exactly what he is, right? Isn't that what it is? If you got a white cop that's out here doing black folks wrong, but his partner won't say nothing and he's witnessing it, what do you call that cop? So you do the same thing. Unless you're okay. Unless you're okay with 9-year-old kids, 7-year-old kids saying they want to be little girls when they little boys, and little boys want to be girls, all this backward shit. Unless you're okay. Because they're using you in a party to up their votes and put the man in charge so he can make it legal for kids to make those decisions. I know Joe didn't convince y'all that the Republicans and all them evil white people over there in that party, plus the blacks that think stupid too, like with them, Sonny and all of them then told y'all, Sonny and Whoopi and all of them then told y'all that they don't even want prescription drugs to be cheap for people because the Republican Party don't care about nobody. Independents don't care about nobody. They just care about theyself. This is why I'm burned out on this topic. This is why I'm burned out on having these conversations. Because every time these people talk, they know exactly who they talking to. Al Sharpton did a eulogy at this young man, at that 24-year-old's, at his funeral in the subway killing. The guy that got choked on the subway. Al Sharpton did a eulogy of that young man and didn't know shit about him. He knew absolutely nothing about that man. Absolutely nothing about him. But you know what he know how to do? He know how to play on a church emotion. He know how to go in and say, he know how to work himself up to be no justice, no peace. He know how to get y'all in the middle of the street. How you gonna have a eulogy on a young man? Number one, you don't even know him. You don't have any family background. Like you're not even he's not part of your church family, Reverend. You don't know anything about him. You got notes to be able to make some sense out of what you're talking about, but your notes ain't even proper information. Your notes say that this man got choked out for 15 minutes, and that's not what's in the police report. Your notes say that the young man who got killed, his mama was in that same church. And that young man had to sit in the front row while they did the eulogy of his mama because she got beat up, sliced up, and this young man had to see his mama that way. But Uncle Al, tell us the circumstance. Tell us what happened. Don't bring it up if you ain't going to give us the information. Who did that to his mama? It's all relevant. But Al don't care. Permanent Suit don't care about that shit. His job was to move the church in an emotional sense so he can take his ass down to Florida and attach himself to the movement of the NAACP and their movement on talking about Florida is racist and they don't want to see black people do good. All in the cause of the LGBTQ community who's battling Disney. Y'all connect these fucking dots for me one time. Connect the dots. You can't see the pimp game yet? How about the $90 million Black Lives Matter got? Had us all emotionally wearing t-shirts and shit and all not one headquarters of a Black Lives Matter in your community. Not one. Dropping anything. They made us pay for our own murals per city. Per mural. We paid $300,000. in Cincinnati. We gathered the money up together. They didn't drop no money on that. Hell, they didn't buy a bucket of fucking paint. They pimped us. And we can't say nothing. Because if we say something, then what? You know what I call it? You don't say, what do you say when the white cop don't say nothing about the other cop? What do you call it when you see somebody doing something wrong and you don't say anything about it? You call the white cop racist. You're just as racist as the racist one. You don't get a pass. So now if you're not going to say anything about the pimp game, if you're not going to say something because Al done pimped us for all these years and played into this old bullshit, if you're not ready to get up out that way of thinking yet, all I ever hear Al and them talk about are numbers that are against the success of what we've already succeeded on. I promise you, if you compare in 2023 the success of black people in this country, you cannot hold a candlelight to the shit that they talk about that we don't get. Black people are strong, we have succeeded, and we don't need to be called marginalized. We don't need to be fucking called exceptions. We put the fucking work in.
When I
Here's your man's right here.
first got the call about Jordan and later talked with Johnny Green, who is pastor here, and Johnny Green told me of how Jordan's mother was killed. And her funeral was right here. And Jordan sat right there and watched his mother funeralized, who'd been chopped up. And he'd never been the same. Jordan was not annoying someone on the train. Jordan wasn't
annoying anybody on the train. What the fuck was he doing, Al Sharpton? He was begging for help. He was begging for help when he punched the 65-year-old woman, and if it would have been my mother or my grandmother, I'd have beat the shit out of him also. He wasn't your wife, Al Sharpton. He wasn't your daughter. I mean, it wasn't your daughter that got punched. Go ahead and finish this bullshit. Go ahead.
screaming for help. We keep criminalizing people with mental illness. People keep criminalizing people that need help. They don't need abuse, they need help.
So if what he just said is true, which has some stability and truth, we do criminalize people that need help. But did he mention one time that in New York, the leaders of New York have taken crime units off the streets, defunding the police? You know, that was a big thing that black people were talking about right before COVID. And all this shit when it was time to vote between Joe Biden and Trump and all that old shit, defunding the police because we have made the police the bad actor, the crook. So let's defund their ass. Cori Bush, all of these leaders who have bad policing, bad shit going on in their states, all called for defunding the police, which means limiting the resources of making people like this guy Neely. He should be somewhere else. He shouldn't be on the streets. He shouldn't have 44 accounts with the law. Something's going to happen bad to this young man eventually. He's done bad shit to enough people. Eventually, something's going to happen to him. That should be what you say, Al. But you about to make this racial. And you don't even have the information of the situation of what actually happened, Al. What are you talking about? You talking about what they saying on the news, not what's in the police report.
There was no weapons. There was no language. Nobody was threatened. And you grab them and put them in a chokehold.
Now you heard what he just said. He said there was no weapon. There was no language. There was no threaten. This man just grabbed him and put him in a chokehold. There's already affidavits from people that were actually on the train, Al, who say different. There was a black lady that was 60 years old who went on the record and said, this man saved my life. I was scared for my life from that young man that got on that train. And if that would have been my grandmother on there and this young man stepped up and did that shit, I would feel the same way now. I would send money to his defense. I would feel obligated to help him in his defense if my mother or my grandmother was on that train. If Mama Birch was on that train and she felt threatened and scared like that and called the man a hero, then I would think that it might have some validity. I would think that it might be true, Al. Have you talked to one witness, Al? Have you talked to one person other than CNN report to give you the information you need to say things on a podium in church? No, because you wouldn't have had a leg to stand on, Al. You wouldn't have been able to get the church people. You wouldn't have been able to go to church and have a son. I know you want that plate of chicken after this sermon. I know y'all gonna go down in the basement and eat food after this. I know. And I know you got to go to church with it. You can't speak on facts because you don't know other facts. And what did he do? Let's continue to watch what he says with no information.
Two people help hold him down. And you go to the precinct and they let you go.
It's called protocol. And if what he's saying about the other two people who held him down, Al, why didn't they charge them too? They're complicit. Why aren't you saying that? Why aren't you bringing up the brother that helped hold this guy down? Why, if there wasn't no words and no actions or nothing wrong here, Al, why do you think it took 3 grown-ass men to subdue somebody, Al? Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. Why did it take 3 grown-ass men to subdue one guy 24 years old? Why, Al? Make it make sense, bro. And why don't you care that the other guys aren't involved in the charge? You just said it. You just made them complicit to this crime. You said it took 2 other dudes. Well, one of the dudes happened to be black. The other one was Latino, Al. But you only want to go after the white dude so it'll fit this shit that you're talking about. This is our leadership.
If Jordan was impersonating Elvis Presley, if Jordan had been a different race and they had him impersonating Elvis, and a black guy put Elvis impersonating.
Do y'all know how crazy that shit just... Do you hear him? Do y'all hear him? Do you hear his hype man in the back? Y'all know the hype man like on Digital Underground and shit what Tupac was for Digital Underground, the guy that walk up, LL's hype man. This man is talking about Elvis being put in a headlock, all this old goofy shit, and the church is saying, go, preacher, go. Amen. Amen. What the fuck is this? What is this? Amen. Elvis being a headlock? What is he doing? This is clown show 101.
In a chokehold. and two black guys held them down, they would not have let that black.
So now he's changing it up so it'll sound, so he getting the crowd up. If they would have held Elvis down in a headlock and two black guys would have held Elvis down, they would not have let him go. You didn't change the whole fucking situation, Al. And the church is amen this man to death. Amen. Lord knows. God. Oh, Lord. And those are all the tools of an emotional person. We're not even paying attention. He's like a rapper with a beat that nobody knows the lyrics. They just beeping and dancing in the middle of the floor, and they getting cussed out in their own song. Keep going, Al. Keep proving me right. Go ahead, bro.
That guy leave the precinct that night. Say that the man that killed Jordan was a good Samaritan. Well, and they raised over $2 million for this man.
Okay, he's going to the pocket now. Here's the other way you get emotional. You get black folks emotional. You tell them how much money somebody got. They didn't raise $2 million for this man. Well, Al, let me ask you something. Why aren't you talking about this young man right here and how much money they didn't raise for him? I'm guilty of sending him $100. I sent $100 to his defense team because this young man should not be in jail for defending himself and others on a train. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. This young man right here should not have a case pending. There's too many witnesses that came forward. He has the same witness affidavits that the other guy has. And Al Sharpton ain't saying nothing about this. And it only took a week for something to make Al look stupid and shit. And that whole situation, bring it to light. It only took 1 week. Now listen to what he's talking about. Listen, here go where he really got the church saying amen, because Batman and Robin and Aquaman can swim, and y'all know Wonder Woman blocked bullets with her arm pieces, and you know she got a rope that make you see how stupid I sound right now? That's what he sound like, and they just yes sir, amen, all that old shit, and he talking about superheroes and shit.
Well, I know, Governor DeSantis, that you putting black history and LGBTQ and Latino out of the school.
Number one, this happened in New York. Number two, black history, Latino history, and LGBTQ community has nothing to do with this. What the fuck are you talking about, Al? He's playing on people's emotions. He's wheeling you in. He's bringing you in. Because he don't know anything about this young man. He know that his next trip is going down to Florida to work with the NAACP. This has nothing to do with Ron DeSantis. It has nothing to do with any of that. This was him pushing a political agenda. This is our leadership today. This is the man that they put on the radio and says keeping it real. This is a man that calls himself, they got him a radio channel, a radio platform. They got him on TV platform, and they're making him a national name. They're giving him a national platform, and the NAACP is bringing him in to fight the Florida thing and bring up all what black folks are going to have to vote on. And he's muddying the water, and he's making you think emotionally in your decisions. It has nothing to do with what's best for you. You know, I'll put it in this category. It's when Joe Biden was running against Donald Trump, and Joe Biden went and got Cardi B. You get it? It's the same parallel. You went and got Cardi B to tell everybody, her 3 million followers or whatever, to vote for her, for Joe Biden, because he's going to reduce your taxes. And now what happened a year and a half later? Cardi B on IG Live. This motherfucker, he did Joe Biden. My people can't even afford groceries. I'm helping all my people. Wait a minute. You sound crazy as F. You sound crazy as hell. You forgot when they cleaned your ass up that day? You forgot when they had you looking like a first lady and you had a pantsuit on and they did your hair different and your nails was done proper and you look etiquette? You remember that day you did that video shooting with Joe Biden and you told everybody to vote for Joe Biden? And what was the reason why, Cardi B? They used your ass. They used you. You fell in line. And the only reason why you did it, you was making money, sister. It wasn't even about money. It was you keeping your clout. I guarantee it. They might not have paid her a dime, but when you do stuff for powerful people, you do it for free because the resource is more powerful than money. I bet you Joe Biden don't know, if he knew, he don't know one Cardi B song. He don't know one lyric in her song. He only knows she had 30 million followers, 3 million, whatever the number was. That was more important to them, not what he really gonna do, not what she really about. She got 3 million people that can vote for my ass. I don't give a shit if she's selling ass on stage. I want her 3 million votes. I don't care what she telling her kids and what she doing and making kids believe in the community. I don't care. I want them 3 million votes. And she don't look crazy. Y'all got mad at Ice Cube because he had a fucking conversation with Trump's team, a conversation that benefited you. This is what I think when I thought of that. I showed that this morning. Sometimes those who want you to bring you down don't even know the reason why they standing. I thought of this when I thought of Ice Cube. Ice Cube was looking for the black agenda or the black plan, the black contract. Y'all got mad because he took a meeting with a presidential candidate. You didn't get mad when the other president candidate didn't take the meeting and you called Cube a coon. One of the most successful black independent artists, businessmen in Hollywood, in the toughest business to be in. You call him a coon. But Joe Biden go get Cardi B and you think that's a power move. And then we get amnesia again because Cardi B done had 18-year-old, whoever. She done got all these people to help vote this man in and he ain't doing nothing for them. Once again, we got the white cop in the car with the other white cop syndrome going on here. Let me tell you another thing. All these platforms, Black Radio and all of them, sitting back talking about Donald Trump every day. Can't say nothing about the guy in the office right now. Can't say shit good about their own president. Can't say nothing good about Joe Biden and what he doing and nothing. Can't say shit. Can't say they had to wake him up yesterday. Y'all ain't saying shit about him falling 3 or 4 fucking times on the bike up the steps, falling out. Y'all ain't saying shit. You coached. Whatever CNN allowed you guys to watch, that's what you watch. Whatever MSNBC talk about and spin the narrative, that's what you talk about. Not one of you has said anything about this man being under federal investigation. All you talk about is Trump. Trump? Thank God I'm inquisitive. Thank God that I don't just depend on the people around me for me to get information. I'd be as dumb as a doorknob. Thank God there are young black people out here that are doing podcasts and holding politicians accountable. Because if you had to go through mainstream media, they ain't showing you nothing. They ain't showing you no $5 million that Joe Biden and his son and them are involved in. They got you talking about, what's the guy's name? Hunter Biden. Don't nobody give a shit about Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden is just the dope fiend that's going to tell on his daddy. I promise you. He the one made the mistake. Joe and them would have been cool if he would have never left his laptop. They would have used you up, got all the money, and there wouldn't have been no talk about it. But you best believe in every family, every hook and crook family, every group got a fucked up individual in the circle. Somebody is always slipping. Somebody gonna always get everybody in trouble. Everybody got one of them. Hunter Biden is Joe Biden's that person. Y'all really think that they give a shit about Hunter Biden. They don't give a shit about Hunter Biden. They care what Hunter Biden information can lead to in telling the truth about the guy that y'all think is the good guy. I always tell you, I got a problem with people who always trying to make somebody to be a bad guy. They want you to take their word. Don't fuck with Wyatt. He ain't shit. Well, I tell you what, don't fuck with me then. Don't mess with me. Don't work with me. Work with the person that told you I wasn't shit. Watch how far you get. I ain't gonna take it personal. Stay working with the individual who told you not to get with the person who has good intentions. Even if that person who told him not to mess with me may know more about the industry or may know more about things about what they trying to do than me. Here's the difference. Give me somebody with a good heart over somebody that know everything about something but don't give a shit about you. Give me the guy with the good heart and willing to bend over backwards and bust his ass for you over the person that know everything about the industry but just simply don't care about nobody but themselves. You're not going to make it. Give me the generous heart individual. Give me the person and we'll get there together. We'll teach each other on the way there. Because all you're going to learn is pain and agony dealing with the selfish motherfucker. Promise you. Go ahead and finish up, Al, so I can get on out of here.
But I have a Bible to put in the governor's office. Because apparently you don't know what the Good Samaritan was. Jesus told the parable of the Good Samaritan. He said there was a man beaten and robbed, Aunt Mildred, and put by the side of the road. One man walked by that was of his. When I first got the call.
So Al, how did you go from a sermon to having the church say amen to everything that you said, to turn around saying no justice, no peace in the church? It's never about really the real cause. Has anybody asked Al Sharpton Perm in the suit what he thinks about the young man? This young man right here. Has anybody on this Keeping It Real ass show said anything about this? Has anybody said that he feels that this man is just as guilty as the white dude that choked the other man out? You know what they were saying about the white dude? That he choked him for 15 minutes? That's not in the police report. That's not even in the indictment. That's not in the indictment. Al Sharpton didn't say anything. The news media is not talking about the indictment. They still talking about the assumption of what they still assuming of what they still taking the words of the media and they keep revolving it around, and the indictment is out. The indictment is out, and there's a list of people, character witnesses, and there is a list of people that were on the scene witnesses. On the scene. None of that has been spoke about in the media. None of it. But now, his story goes national. It gets on it gets on BET Talk, it gets on Al Sharpton Show. It's the biggest thing because it was a black man that was killed by a white dude that was assisted by a Latino man and another black man. Everywhere I've ever lived in my life, that would be considered complicit. That would be considered accessory. But I don't hear nothing about why the others aren't being charged. They had everything to do. Maybe the young man could have rolled out of the chokehold or whatever they had going on if the other guy wasn't holding his leg and the other guy was holding his arm. They assist in that choking, if you want to call it that. Why isn't that an issue? Why is it only the white guy being charged? Because that's juicier. Black people gonna go crazy when they say a white man hung him. Hung him. You know he choked him. But they gonna find a way to make it a hanging, baby. That white man hung that black man. You know what the mama, you know what the son or the daughter of the 64-year-old black woman, that same guy who died, who got choked, that boy punched a 65-year-old woman in the face and broke her nose. You know what her kids are saying right now? I wish I would have choked the shit out of him. You know what her husband's saying if she got a man or a husband? You know what she's probably saying? I wish I could have choked the shit out of his punk ass. What he did to me. But we need the energy of the white man doing us so bad that we'll leave everybody else out of the picture. Then we got to go get the big motor mouth, Al Sharpton, to make this a national story. And we're going to push it on CNN, MSNBC, and we're going to talk about how white people been choking us for years. And then a week later, when the same shit happened, we're going to act like that story didn't really happen. All the characters stay in your positions, y'all. We're not going to go on this one. Where are all the characters at? Here's the other thing. AOC, the lady from New York, came out and said something. She don't care about her people either, huh? The Latino community, because this was a Latino man that was stabbed by the brother with the dreads. A Latino man died in this particular case. Oh, I get it, Wyatt. The reason why they was so up in arms with the white guy is because it took them 2 weeks to put him under arrest. They know the reason why it took so long is because they knew they wasn't going to charge him. Because they know this is not a good charge. They know this is some bullshit. The only reason why they went out and charged him is because AOC said something, and then they brought in Al Sharpton, start making noise. Now the black DA has to charge the man, or they're going to tear up New York. They didn't stop the train. They didn't did everything. And then they didn't release any of the information from the witnesses. They didn't release any film clip. They didn't release any testimony. They didn't release any affidavits that come to this man's defense. But soon as the black man did the same thing by killing somebody in the subway, I done got videos. I done got testimony over the phones. All that shit. Why do you have so much information on the brothers' reasoning of not being locked up? Why do they have so much of that on CNN? They not even showing the story on CNN. But they got all this information. Let me see. Do I have it? Yeah. Yeah. I got it. Just for the let's compare the two.
Lacey.
And I'm Natasha Berman. The attorney and family for the 20-year-old suspect, Jordan Williams, says he acted in self-defense. They say the person he stabbed had threatened other passengers and assaulted his girlfriend.
Fox 5's Linda Schmidt joins us live from Brooklyn Criminal Court, where the arraignment just wrapped up. Linda, what's the latest?
Yeah, hi there, Steve and Natasha. Well, first of all, when this incident happened on the subway, on the J train on Tuesday, some people immediately started making parallels between this incident and the one involving Daniel Penny, including the lawyer for Jordan Williams in this case. Now, he had said to reporters earlier today before court that his client was being treated differently, and he was making claims of racism because his client was arrested immediately after the incident on Tuesday, while Daniel Penny was arrested 2 weeks after the chokehold death of Jordan Neely. Now go ahead and take a look at this video here, because this is Jordan Williams. He is surrounded by his family as he left court today. Now, in the incident involving him on Tuesday, he had used a knife to stab DeVictor Udrogo in the chest. He says Udrogo got on the subway on Tuesday, was yelling and threatening riders, and then hit him and his girlfriend. That is when Williams says he stabbed him, killing him.
We spoke exclusively with one eyewitness by phone.
The guy who was sitting down across from that girl said, yo, you need to...
Why they got witnesses on the phone? Why they giving all this information about what actually happened on the train in this case, but ain't nobody been on the phone with no witnesses? They ain't released no information of how the black guy got choked out. You see how there's so much more information? This is local story in New York. CNN ain't covering this. They covered the dude getting choked on the train, but they ain't covering this one because it's a parallel. It's a direct parallel of what happened on the other case. And they're not able to say, hey, we got all this information on this one. We didn't share it on the other one because we wanted to keep y'all emotionally attached and wanted y'all to see some bullshit and keep it there. We wanted to keep it at that level. Why is this story with the brother right here got so many witnesses and people coming forward that was on the train? The white dude did too. But this guy, the brother, should not be locked up for all the reasons of what you're listening to on this newscast. So why do they have so much information on one, but they don't want to share the information on the other one? Because too much real content, too much real information will put it in proper context for you, wouldn't it? It won't be like the white man choked the black guy. It won't be that, because people could come forward and tell the truth of what actually happened. Hey, Al, perm in the suit. This man didn't have a weapon either. This brother stabbed somebody. He didn't have no weapon. What you talking about, Al?
To kill, something to that effect. They exchanged words, 2 or 3, things back and forth, and then the guy who's standing up punched him really hard in the face. They start fighting. Everyone scatters.
Williams allegedly used deadly force deliberately in a fist fight. The witness told us Williams went too far.
It's certainly something he didn't start or would have probably been involved in if it weren't for, the guy who was killed being the aggressor. But you can't kill someone just because, they started a fight with you.
Again, the charge is manslaughter. Any additional charges, of course, will be up to a Brooklyn grand jury. Now, the victim has a criminal record that includes multiple arrests for robbery. He has no documented mental health history that we are aware of, and was unarmed.
Now, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office had asked for $100,000 bail for Williams. By the way, that is the exact same bail that Daniel Penny has through the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. But in this case here in Brooklyn, the judge said no bail and released Williams. Now, his family, again, here supporting him today, and his lawyer, once again, had claimed to reporters that before court that there was a double standard here, that his client was being treated unfairly. But now he has changed his mind. Here's what he had to say and what Williams' mom had to say.
Well, I can walk that back. Look, I think him being charged.
Weak lawyer right here. Weak lawyer. He had to walk a statement back because he was trying to make it black and white. He was trying to make it racist. He was trying to do what people who can't study and can't put the work in do. Always affiliated to it being racial. The white man got $100,000 bond. They gave the brother an OR bond, which means he paid absolutely no money and he is no threat, and he will come back to court because they know this is a case that's not going anywhere. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they would have gave the white dude, after Al Sharpton and AOC and the black community said all the shit they said. Can you imagine if the courts would have gave the white boy a 0 bond, a OR bond? Y'all would have said that the court system is racist, that they always treating white people different. Y'all would have said all that shit. You know how I know you would have said it? Because I've heard it a whole lot of times in my life. I've heard it. I've heard it. I've heard it.
Charged right away and held was obviously different than how Mr. Penny was released and had a few weeks and then had to voluntarily surrender himself.
But do you think that was racist?
That was a big difference, but then we saw the difference today where they asked for the same amount that Daniel Penny's bail was, and this judge released my client. So I can't applaud the court system enough.
How Jordan was raised, his upbringing. I'm not tooting my own horn. However, his upbringing is what made him the wonderful young man that he is today. And he cares about life. He cares about the lives of others, and he is extremely remorseful.
I believe the mom. I believe she probably raised a respectful young man who was defending himself on the train. But they didn't show all that other shit from the other guy. They didn't have a press conference. They didn't have cameras. Only thing they did was they had cameras of the white man coming out in handcuffs. He was the deadly white man that killed black people on the subways. And that's exactly where they want us to be with it. This is a Marine, a former Marine. This is a man that stood on a subway car who protected black people on that subway car. It was black people on that subway car. There were several black women on that subway car. And said, thank God for that man. My life was threatened. He's a hero. He's not a murderer. Al didn't say that in his eulogy. He talked about this young man's mama. He didn't say nothing about how the black women and the black people on the train felt okay about what happened. They felt threatened. Al, I know you don't care. I know you really don't care if these black women were threatened by this man on the train. I know you really don't care. You just need to get out of it what you got out of it. And this is why I'm burned out. This is why I am burned out. Because our leadership is for sale. Our leadership is not really for the people, but they use the people. They use the people. They use us. They make us feel like they care so much to push their own personal agendas. And I'm burned out. I'm burned out of watching white people tell black people they don't know how it is to be black in America. I'm burned out listening to white people tell black people that they're exceptions to the rule, or we don't know what it is to be black in America, as if we didn't experience it. I'm burned out. I'm burned out. I'm truly burned out, folks. That's my time, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love to everybody, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 o'clock.